Good morning. Good morning. It says I'm on live. I see this thing is still buffering, but I am so thankful to God for another day. He has been so good to each of us. He is a wonderful, wonderful God. And I know it's 7:14, but when I get started, start setting up and everything, then here comes delay and all of that on the many times in the network, but I will not give up. I just wait until it puts me on here, okay? But God is so good, and I have another good story for you today. And I hope you're doing well today, too. Okay, I hope you're doing well. I hope you are, in spite of everything that's going on in the world. God is yet in control. And I thank Him. I thank Him. I thank Him. We're going to talk about another queen because I know the ladies are queens and the men are kings, those who I'm talking with, and two this morning. And I'm going to talk about one of the queens in the Bible. You know, there in our lives, we don't know where destiny, happenstance, conditions, we don't know where life will take us. We don't know what route in our lives, and some say route, okay, whatever, God will take us. But if we let Him, if we follow Him, and sometimes when we didn't know God, we would feel something and it would seem that it was right. And we said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. But let me tell you something. My topic is God is in the details. He is in the details. He wants what's best for us. Let me tell you, He's in the details. All we have to do is surrender to Him. Good morning, Becky. Rebecca, my sister-in-law, I love you. Good morning. It's so good to see your name, and I see your face too. You and Michael, I love you. So I'm talking about Esther this morning. God is in the details. God is in the details. And she had no idea that she was going to end up where she was and have the destiny. God had already determined what she was going to do, and she did a great thing. If any of us know anything about Esther, we know what she did. But this story is amazing. It's amazing. So here we go. We're in Esther, and it's one, and I hope this computer, okay, it brought it up. Good. Now it came to pass in the days of Hazarus, excuse me. And this is the one that reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 and 20 provinces. So that's how many provinces he was over. 127 provinces. He had a big, big, big kingdom. So that in the days when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. 180 days, okay? And when these days were expired, and so I'm going to go here. I think I'm going to do this parallel here because this is a good story. It's a good story. You know, I hope the Living Bible comes up. So, in the efforts of me trying to get on at 7 o'clock and doing that and then having to go back and pull this up and that up and this up, trying to get on the air on time. But we're here, so that's it. So he did this feast, and so the celebration lasted. Listen to this. 6 months. A 6-month celebration. He had so much, and he had all of these people celebrating, his servants, his princes, and different rulers, and all these people that were under him. They celebrated for 6 whole months. Okay? Now, let me get down here. I like to do the King James and then come over, so I do like a parallel. So when he showed his riches, of his riches, glorious kingdom and honor and his excellent majesty many days, and he did it for 6 months. Can you imagine partying for 6 whole months and being a host to a party for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people? This man was exceedingly rich, okay? Exceedingly rich. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast, another feast, unto all the people that were present in Shushan, the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. So for 7 days, he had another feast for all of the people. And it said when it was all over, like all these people had been serving and working. And so, hey, it looks like this man has a good heart, doesn't it? It looks like he has a good heart. So when it was all over, the king gave a special party for the palace servants and officials, for the janitors and the cabinet officials alike, for 7 days of revelry held in the courtyard of the palace garden. I mean, they were really, really doing it up. So he even rewarded these people who had done all this work for these 6 months, and all the people of Shushan, okay? And when these days were expired, he made that feast. And then let me tell you about the decorations. So where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black and marble. Wow. Woo, woo, woo. Man, fancy, fancy. So it said that he had green, white, and blue. And then the green, white, and blue, they were fastened with purple ribbons tied to silver rings that were embedded in marble pillars. The gold and silver benches stood on pavements of black, red, and white and yellow marble. Man, that was something, wasn't it? It was fancy smancy, okay? Okay. Woo! That man knows how to party, doesn't he? All right. Now, we get on down to the drinks were served in gold goblets, not gold filled, not simulated gold. The drinks were served in gold goblets of many designs, and there was an abundance of royal wine, for the king was feeling very generous. My, my, my. Whoa. So the only restriction on the drinking was that no one should be compelled to take more than he wanted. And that's only fair, isn't it? The only restrictions were that no one was to take more than he wanted, but those who wished could have as much as they pleased. For the king had instructed his officers to let everyone decide this matter for himself. So he left it open to the people. You can come in and you can eat, you can drink, you can have fun. The only thing I ask you is to just don't be greedy, okay? Take what you want, but just don't be greedy, all right? You can drink as much as you want, you can eat as much as you want, but just don't overdo it, okay? Now I'm thinking about the Israelites, okay, and the manna. But anyway, all right. Queen Vashti gave a party for the women of the palace at the same time. Okay? On the final day, when the king was feeling high, half drunk from wine, he told the 7 eunuchs who were his personal aides, and they were Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, to bring Queen Vashti, here's Vashti, Vashti, to him with the royal crown upon her head, so that all the men could gaze upon her beauty. For she was a very beautiful woman. So he wanted those eunuchs, go and get my pretty queen and bring her here. I want to show her off to these men. Okay? So he had a right to show his wife off. Okay, here we go. He wanted to show this beautiful woman off. But when they conveyed the emperor's order to Queen Vashti, she refused to come. The king was furious. Oh, he was upset now. He wanted to show his pretty wife off, and then she said, I'm not coming in there. And he got mad. Said he was very furious. But first, consulted his lawyers, for he did nothing without their advice. So, hey, he went to his lawyers. Hey, I called for my queen. I just wanted to show her off, man. That's all I wanted to do, or men, however many lawyers he had. I just wanted to let the people see how pretty she is, but she refused to come, okay? So they were men of wisdom who knew the temper of the times as well as Persian law and justice, and the king trusted their judgment. So these men were Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Maris, Marsina, and Mamukan, 7 high officials of the Media Persia, okay, of Media Persia. So of that region, there were 7 high officials. They were his personal friends, as well as being chief officers of the government. So he went to the high ups and said, man, what shall we do about this situation? He asked them, what penalty does the law provide for a queen who refuses to obey the king's orders, properly sent through his aides? Now, what are the consequences? What can I do about this? So you see, I'm over here now. Memucan answered for the others. Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king, but every official and citizen of the empire by refusing to come to you when you called for her. She has not only wronged you, but she wronged all the people, us, and everybody. For women everywhere will begin to obey or disobey, women, this is their reasoning. Because she disobeyed you, and she is the queen, so she is an example to the women. She's a role model. So the women everywhere will begin to disobey their husbands when they learn that Queen Vashti has done it. And before this day is out, the wife of every one of us officials throughout your empire will hear what the queen did and will start talking to us husbands the same way, and there will be contempt and anger throughout your realm. So you see where they are. It tells us they were very wise men. And so they know that their wives look up to the queen too. So they said, man, before this day is over, our wives are going to know about what she did. And then they're going to start talking to us with contempt and anger and disrespecting us. So something's got to be done about this. So we suggest that, subject to your agreement, you issue a royal edict, a law of the Medes and Persians that can never be changed, that Queen Vashti be forever banished from your presence, and that you choose another queen more worthy than she. When this decree is published throughout your great kingdom, husbands everywhere, whatever their rank, will be respected by their wives. See, now see, I was upset at that man last week, and I'm still upset at him. And we had 3 weeks of the story about the woman, Okay, now I'm getting a little riled up here in my mind. I don't want to talk about him, but see, you see this right here? Whatever their rank will be respected by their wives. So what we want you to do, you issue this order. You issue this law and say that Queen Vashti can never, ever come before you again. She's banished from your sight. She cannot come around you. We're taking all of her powers and everything. And then when people hear this and see this law, this mandate, whatever it is they want to call it, this edict, then when they see this, they'll be fearful and they won't do their husbands like she did you. So see, they're thinking about themselves too. Okie dokie. We will go on. I'm going to try not to stay on that. So the king and all his aides thought this made good sense. So he followed Memucan's advice, his counsel, and sent letters to all his provinces in all the local languages, stressing that every man should rule his home and should assert his authority. By golly gee, by golly gee. No, I know we are, we are to respect our husbands, those of us who have them, those of us who have had them, and we don't have them anymore because God has taken them, and some of us, and some of us have divorced, or whatever. However, we know we're supposed to respect the man because he's the head of the house, but he's supposed to respect us too, okay? So love your wives as you love yourself. Now that's from the Bible too. So when they start talking about this, I'm your boss and you're supposed to do what I say, and God put me the head of the household, then just come right back and say, yeah, but he told you to love me just like you love yourself. Honor and respect me as your mate, okay? And you can do it in love and honor, but nobody, I'm going a different way. Nobody has the right to mistreat you and dog you out. And when they say dog you out, some people are mean to dogs and they kick them and hit them and beat them. So I guess that's what dog you out means. But they have no right. But this right here is telling them, hey, you can't talk back to us. Whatever we tell you to do, you've got to do it. If you don't, then you're in the wrong, and we have the right to punish you any way we want to. Now, see, that's the first book of Ruth. I'm going to the second because I haven't been on here 20 minutes yet. So I'm going to the second book of Ruth, okay? Because this is really, really good. And see, God is in the details, okay? God, see, they don't know it. They don't know what they were doing, but God is in the details. I'm telling you, they thought they were doing this, and they were doing this out of selfish reasons, okay? Selfish reasons. And the king, of course, I know what he was saying, if they find out that she disrespected me and this and that and the other. But okay, but they were thinking of those lawyers, and people were thinking about themselves too. So let's go to the second book of Ruth, okay? Esther, please excuse me. I had Ruth on my mind this morning, but she wasn't the one I was supposed to be talking about today. So, after King Ahasuerus' anger had cooled, he began brooding over the loss of Vashti. See? He got mad. He hastily issued an order. They told him to hastily. Now, he's cooling down, okay? But after King Ahasuerus' anger had cooled, he began brooding over the loss of Vashti, realizing that he would never see her again. See? Now, you know what I want to say. Now, God is in the details, okay? So he hastily went, okay, she disrespected me. Now what am I going to do? Everybody going, and they say, well, everybody going to know about it. And then they going to start our wives and everybody else's wife. Okay, but I'm going to say it anyway. Goody, goody, goody. Okay, now let me go on. So his aide suggested, let us go and find the most beautiful girls in the empire and bring them to the king for his pleasure. And this story is so good. I love this story. I love it. I love it. Okay. His aide suggested, let us go and find the most beautiful girls in the empire and bring them to the king for his pleasure. We will appoint agents in each province to select young lovelies for the royal harem. Haggai, the eunuch in charge, will see that they are given beauty treatments. And oh, this is what I really like, these beauty treatments. And hey, I took that up for myself because it's super. Even though I ain't got no husband, but just in case, hey, do this and be ready, all right? So after that, the girl who pleases you most shall be the queen instead of Vashti. So, hey, those of you who are already queens, you can even take this if you're not already doing it and do it. Hey, your husband will like this because, oh, it's a process, which is so good. Okay, let me keep on. So, this suggestion naturally pleased the king very much, and he put the plan into immediate effect. Immediately. One thing about this brother, he didn't hesitate to put a plan in action, okay? So now there was a certain Jew in the palace named Mordecai, who was the son of Jair, son of Shimei, Shimei, I guess we put it like that, son of Kish, a Benjamite. Oh, ho, ho. Who did we talk about for the last 3 weeks past? The Benjamites. Look at this. God is in the details, okay? Now, he had been captured when Jerusalem was destroyed by King Nebuchadnezzar and had been exiled to Babylon along with King Jeconiah of Judah and many others. So this man had a beautiful and lovely young cousin, Hadassah, also called Esther. Hey, hey, whose father and mother were dead, and whom he had adopted into his family and raised as his own daughter. You see God working in this, okay? So now, as a result of the king's decree, Esther was brought to the king's harem at Shushan Palace along with many other young girls. Haggai, or Haggai, whichever is Hegai, and I did not look it up, but I think it's Haggai, okay, who was responsible for the harem, was very much impressed with her and did his best to make her happy. He ordered a special menu for her, favored her for the beauty treatments, gave her 7 girls from the palace as her maids, and gave her the most luxurious apartment in the harem. Don't you? Ooh, don't you see God in the details? All right. I was instantly, when she showed up, favor was waiting on her. Favor was waiting on her. So, ladies, hey, just be patient. Favor, even though you might be favored now, there is more favor from God for you. So just hold on. We don't know what. Even though we're at the age that we are now, some of us have some decades behind us, okay? God still has something special for us. Oh, yes, he does. God is in the details. Oh, this is wonderful. He gave her the most luxurious apartment in the whole palace. Then gave her 7 people to wait on her, but hey, it gets better and better, okay? Now, Esther hadn't told anyone that she was a Jewess. Okay? Get that. She hadn't told anyone that she's a Jew. All right? For Mordecai had said not to. So she was obedient to her uncle, who was her father, because he adopted her into his family after her parents died. Okay? He came daily. Now, see, he didn't just put her there and leave her, didn't go back and check on her. He didn't do that. He came daily to the court of the harem to ask about Esther and to find out what was happening to her. See, he cared. So he didn't just put her in the system and leave her. All right? So the instructions concerning these girls were that before being taken to the king's bed, here we go. Each would be given 6 months of beauty treatments. 6 months of beauty treatments with oil of myrrh, followed by 6 months with special perfumes and ointments. Wow, 6 months, oil and myrrh, and then 6 months of perfumes and ointments. I mean, they were just getting their bodies ready. And oh man, can you imagine the scent, the aroma that was coming, because this was a daily thing. This was for 6 months. These ladies were treated. And you know, when I really delved into this story, which was a few years ago, and I said, "Oh wow, wow!" And you know, what is that bath? What is? Oh man, I can't think of it. It's the blue powder that you know that we um use in our baths. I can't even think of it. But anyway, it'll come back to me. But anyway, so I would have got me some more of that. Hey, anyway, all right. Then, as each girl's turn came for spending the night with King as Ahasuerus, she was given her choice of clothing or jewelry she wished to enhance her beauty. She was taken to the king's apartment in the evening and the next morning returned to the second harem where the king's wives lived. Okay. There she was under the care of Sheashgaz, all right, another of the king's eunuchs, and lived there the rest of her life, never seeing the king again unless he had especially enjoyed her and called for her by name. Okay. So he had, as the king, he had all these young women, so he would try them out. But they spent some money on them and prepared them for 6 months. And so then when it was time for them to be going to the king, they'd go and spend the night with him. And then after that, like I said, then they would go on to the second harem, which was all of his other wives. And then if he never, ever, ever called for her again by name, she had to stay there with all those women. She was his wife. So it seems to me that she was young. He had tried her out. Then he sent her over there with these other women to stay, I guess, for the rest of her life, because she was his wife. And he might not ever, ever call her again. And so she's stuck there. He's her husband, but she has no privileges, no contact with him, unless he calls her by name and says, "Send so-and-so, Marianne, back to me." Okay? So when it was Esther's turn to go to the king, she accepted the advice of Haggai, the eunuch in charge of the harem, dressing according to his instructions. That man knew what was going on, didn't he? He knew the king. He knew his taste. He knew everything about the king. Okay, so this girl, he favored. Esther, this is what you do. This is what you wear. This is everything, honey. I'm going to fix you up. And can't you just see him just moving around in there, baby? This is what I'm going to put on you. I'm going to fix you up with this. Yeah, he likes this and he likes that. Oh, man, this is good, isn't it? All right. All the other girls exclaimed with delight when they saw her. She must have been looking mighty good. Said all the other girls exclaimed with delight when they saw her. So Esther was taken to the palace of the king in January of the 7th year of his reign. Okay, well, the king loved Esther more than any of the other girls. That eunuch knew what he was doing, didn't he? But God is in the details. And so I know some of you are watching, but I have it on my scripture part, so I can't see who's on Facebook. But hi, everybody. Hi. Okay. Well, the king loved Esther more than any of the other girls. He was so delighted with her that he set the royal crown on her head and declared her queen instead of Vashti. Oh my goodness. Can't you see God in the details? Hey, that brother. Oh my goodness, they had that eunuch. He knew that king, didn't he? He fixed her up. He said, baby, the first time he sees you, this brother gonna lose his mind. He was, oh my, he was so delighted with her that he set the royal crown on her head right then and there and declared her queen instead of Vashti. To celebrate the occasion, he threw another big party for all his officials and servants, giving everyone gifts, generous gifts. My goodness, he didn't skimp. You know, is that how we say it? Skimp on the gifts? Okay. Generous gifts to everyone and making grants to the provinces in the form of remission of taxes. My goodness, this brother, whoa, he went, let's say, stir crazy over this woman. God is in the details. Oh my goodness. So later, the king demanded a second bevy of beautiful girls. By that time, Mordecai had become a government official. So Mordecai he was still there. He was still there, okay? Now, Esther still hadn't told anyone that she was a Jewess, for she was still following Mordecai's orders, just as she had in his home. So one day, as Mordecai was on duty at the palace, two of the king's eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, who were guards at the palace gate, became angry at the king and plotted to assassinate him. They got mad at the king, that we're going to kill this brother. Okay? So Mordecai, this is Esther's daddy, uncle, okay, her uncle daddy, okay, heard about it and passed on the information to Queen Esther, who told the king, crediting Mordecai with the information. So see, she didn't just say, well, I heard. I'm not going to tell you who said it, but I heard. No, she went to the king and said, Mordecai said, this is what's happening. Okay, this is the plan. Somebody, man, is going to try to kill you. Okay, now, an investigation was made. The two men found guilty and impaled alive. My, my, my. This was all duly recorded in the book of history of King Ahasuerus' reign. And that's 2 chapters of Esther today. And I'm not going to keep you any longer, but I wanted to start talking about this. God is in the details, and it's getting better and better and better and better. So I want you to stay with me. Hi, Eleanor. Hi, Eleanor. Hi, Yvonne. Yvonne. We call her Yvonne. It's so good to see your names out here. Good morning. Oh, technical difficulties, Eleanor. Well, I'm glad you got them straightened out. Got you. And Calgon. That's it, Eleanor. That is it. Calgon. What is that commercial? Let Calgon take you away. When I saw this story, I said, yeah. And we use it anyway, but then sometimes we'll start using different things and all that kind of stuff. So I said, hey, just in case God sends a man my way, hey, to find me, I'm going to be ready. And so, you know what? I think I better start that again because he hadn't, anyway, so I'll be ready if and when. All right. So, 6 months, can you imagine that? Ooh, I bet, I know these ladies were, because the fragrances had gotten all in their pores, all in their whole bodies, and they had these beautiful scents. But I tell you, isn't this a wonderful story? It's a wonderful, and I'm not finished yet. God is in the details, so it's getting better and better and better. I love you all. I love you all. I'm so glad that you're here with me this morning. It's just a privilege and a blessing. It makes me feel so good that you're here with me this morning, and it encourages me that somebody wants to hear me, and this is my family especially. I love you, family, and I will see you soon, God willing. I might make a trek up the road real soon. I haven't been up there in 2 weeks to Denison, but God is yet in the details of all of our lives. So just be encouraged, be encouraged, be encouraged. I love you. This is Greater Gospel Temple and Inspiration of God Ministries right here on the World Wide Web. Let me hear from you, okay? All right. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your day. Eleanor, Yvonne, Becky. I went out to the property the other day, the church property. I'm perturbed. Is it perturbed? Is that the word? And somebody took my Sprint. I know all of you remember my Sprint. Somebody took it, but by golly gee, I'm going to report it stolen and make sure that if they try to register, they're going to have a hard time because it's going to be stolen. So that I'm not happy about. They went out and took my car, which was not bothering anybody. And you know how long I've had that car. It's a classic now. That car is over 40 years old. All right? I just wanted to tell you that. This first announcement I made, I told the children that somebody went out there and took it. But okay, I just want to let you know because you know about the Sprint. All right. I love you. Enjoy your day.